Hey, Jonathan here at Colfax Math on a pretty cold winter night. I'm going to go over 12 math problems from the ACT standardized test in this video, have some test taking strategies, and show you how I solve these problems. Kind of knowing the tricks is the key to doing well on the math portion of the ACT.
Measure the height. Yeah, no, measure the width from here to here.
Laminated overnight on a CNC cut jig. Okay, these are some really good ACT standardized math problems. I'll put a link to this PDF in the description so you could print it out and work along with me. If you're working on a computer and taking it on a computer, I highly recommend you have paper and pencil in front of you so you could show all your work right next to a problem, or at least number what problem it is if you're taking it on the computer, and go back and check your work. You are allowed to use a calculator on this test. There are 60 questions over 60 minutes, so you got to go pretty fast. So you're kind of looking for tricks. So I'll just run through some of these problems and see how we do. I will use a calculator. It might not be the best way to always go, but jumping in and going is the best way. So my first trick is really to mark up the test as much as you can. And look for what they're trying to ask. So here we are on number one. So you're going 25 miles per gallon and it costs 404 per gallon. So that means 404 will get you 27 miles. So I'm going to do 4.04 divided by 27. And that's going to give me 15 cents per mile. So it costs me 15 cents per mile, and I travel that total number of miles. So I'm going to take that 15 cents per mile and multiply by 27 to get my total cost of 408. So the first answer is 408. So what I would do on these is I would actually pause the video and do number 2 right now, and then check your work against mine and see if we're on the same path. So when x equals 3 and y is 5, how much does the value of 3x squared, so that's 3x squared, exceed the value of 2x squared minus 3y? So I'm going to take x and plug it in there. X is 3. 3 squared is 9. 9 times 3 is 27. Minus 2 times y, which is 5. 2 times 5 is 10. So the first value is 27 minus 10, or 17. The second one, this is squared as well, 2x squared. I take that 3 and I plug it in there to get 3 squared. 3 times itself, 9, times 2, 18. And I'm going to take 5 and plug it in there. Minus 3 times 5, 15. So 18 minus 15 is 3. Easy to select those answers, but it wants you to know how much does this one exceed this one by, and that answer would be 14. So this question right here is really order of operations. You always do parentheses first, there are none in this equation, then exponent, so you have to do the exponents before you multiply, then multiply, then divide, addition, subtraction, PEMDAS is a mnemonic device. Number 3, again, pause the video here and do this yourself, and then check your work with me. So what is the value of x in this equation? So I'm going to solve this equation for x, subtracting 2x from both sides, leaving me with 3 over here. 3x minus 2x is x minus 4. I'm going to add 4 to both sides to get x equals 7. So this one's E. What is the greatest common factor of these 3 numbers? So I'm looking for the largest number that'll go into 42, 126, and 210. I'm going to just actually go through a process of elimination, starting with the largest number. So 42 goes into 42. It goes into 126 3 times. If you can't see that, you could try it on your calculator pretty quick. And then 210 divided by 42 also is an integer. So your answer is 42. Okay, again, pause the video here and try these yourselves first. Sales for a business for $3 million more the second year than the first year. So I don't know what the first year is. I'm going to call the first year X. The second year is 3 more than whatever that is in millions. The third year doubles the sales of the second year. So this is year 1, year 2, year 3 doubles the second year. So the second year times 2 is the third year. Sales for the third year were 38 million, so this is equal to 38 million. What are sales for the first year? So all I've really done is convert this paragraph to numbers. And now that I've done that, I could say I could solve. The way I'm going to solve this equation, I have one equation with one variable. So I'm going to distribute that 2 through the quantity to get 2x plus 6 equals 38. Solving for x, subtract 6 from both sides. 2x is equal to 38 minus 6, 32. Solving for x, divide both sides by 2 to get x equals 16. And go back and reread, what am I solving for? What were sales for the first year? First year is x is 16, so my answer is A. So go ahead and pause the video here. I'm actually going to get a little bit smaller pen, and then we'll do number 6. This one's kind of hard to read. I'm sorry about that. This is saying in the figure below, ray EF, so this is ray EF, was constructed starting from rays ED and EG. One word that's a giveaway is constructed, so this is a branch of geometry called constructions. By using a compass, D and G were created, so these are points, equal points from E, and they were marked equidistant from E on the 2 rays. The compass was then used to locate point F, this point right here, distinct from E, so that F is equidistant from D and G. So this is actually called an angle bisector in constructions. You could recognize that it's going to bisect it, which is kind of hard if you don't remember that. But the one kind of giveaway is all these words of equidistant lead you to kind of think that they're going to be equal. So this is an angle bisector. These two angles, for all constructions, the measure of DEF, so DEF, this angle here, and GEF, this angle here, have to be congruent because this is an angle bisector. Since they're congruent, they're equal. It is a cool branch of geometry called constructions where you use a compass to bisect angles and split them. And if you remember that, then you would know it's a bisector and they're equal. And if you don't remember that, then these ideas of equidistant written all over the place could lead you to conclude that the angles are going to be equal. Okay, now we're on number 7. Abandoned mines fill with water. Before a mine can be reopened, the water must be pumped out. The size of the pump, depth of the mine. If pumping out a mine that is D feet deep requires a pump, minimum of D squared, I know that's hard to see, D squared over 25 plus 4D minus 250 gallons per minute. Pumping out a mine that is 150 feet deep, what would require a pump? So that's telling you a D value of 150. I take 150 and plug it in for D. Again, it's going to be order of operations. Turn this calculator on. 150 squared equals, divided by 25 equals 900, plus 4 times that D of 150. So plus, I'm going to use my parentheses here on the calculator, 4 times 150, and then I'm going to subtract 250, and that'll give me 1250. So answer number 7 is 1250 right there. The length in inches of a box is 3 inches twice its width. So let me draw a box. I'll call this the width, this the length. The length in inches of a box is 3 inches less, so the length is 3 inches less than twice the width. So twice the width minus 3 is the length. In terms of width, what's the box? So on that, length is equal to twice the width minus 3, or J, that one there. Okay, jumping down to number 9 here. In a quadrilateral PQRS, so that just means a four-sided figure. PS and QR are parallel, so notation for parallel is like that. What is the value of X? Well, that's a little misleading. You would think it might be the same as that, but it doesn't have to be, and 112 is not an answer. But if these lines are parallel here, like this, these are parallel lines cut by a transversal like that, and this angle, if these are parallel, have to be corresponding angles and supplementary. So what that means is these two angles have to add up to 180. 180 minus 70 gives me 110. So this one right here, this is the supplement of 70. Okay, number 10, how many irrational numbers are there between 1 and 6? These are real numbers, so there's an infinite number of irrational numbers between those two. So that would be 10 is infinitely many numbers. All right, last couple right here I'm going to go over. Number 11, typical high school student consumes 67.5 pounds of sugar per year as part of a new nutrition plan. Each member of the track team plans to lower their sugar by 20%. So I'm going to subtract 20% or convert that 20% to a decimal. Each track member had consumed sugar at the level of a typical high school student that and would adhere to this plan for the coming year. What is the maximum number of pounds of sugar to be consumed by each track member in the coming year? So the way I could do that, battery's low, don't let that happen to you on your test. 67.5 times that 20%. It's going to be how much less they're going to consume. So they're going to consume 13.5 pounds less. So 67.5 minus 13.5 is 54. So again, converting that paragraph to a couple of numbers and then really identifying what they're asking you to solve for. You know, you come up with an answer like 13.5, you want to round it to 14, but that's wrong. Okay, and then lastly here, I don't know if you could see this, but there's a coordinate here, -1, -1, a coordinate here, 2, 1, and a coordinate here, 6, -5. And it says these are 3 vertices of a rectangle. So where's that rectangle? Looks like it would be like right down here would be my 4th point. And then I can see I have a rectangle now. So how do I figure out that blue point? Well, if I go from here to here, I start in my y direction at -1, and I rise 2 units to 1, so this rise is 2, and this run here is from -1 to 2 or 3. So I have to go from here to here by rising 2 and running 3. So I'm going to subtract 2 from -5, right? So that's going to be down here at -7, and then I'm going to subtract 3 from 6, my x value, to give me 3. So this blue vertice would be 3, -7. This value here. One thing to remember is in these pairs of number, x always comes first, as it does in the alphabet. X is always horizontal, so it's always side to side. Y is always vertical, up and down. So if it's a parallelogram or a rectangle, right, which means 2 pairs of congruent sides and 2 pairs of parallel sides, then this distance has to be the same as that distance and the same slope, and that's how I figured out it's 3, -7. Well, I sure hope this would help you on the ACT math exam. All these standardized math exams aren't really ever that hard, but you got to kind of practice so you pick up all these little tricks. None of the math in here is really advanced math. It's mostly Algebra 1 and geometry, but the tricks in them, or decoding what they're saying, is the key. So go slow enough that you don't make careless mistakes, but go fast enough that you stay in the time constraints. Mark up the test as much as you can, not only so you convert the paragraphs to numbers, but so you could also go back if you have extra time and check your work. You know, the hardest problem has the same value as the easiest problem, so don't race to miss all the easy problems by making careless mistakes to get to a hard problem that you might miss anyway. Okay, use a calculator sparingly. Don't just start punching a bunch of numbers in. You got to do a little bit of thinking first. So again, hopefully that helped. This is Colfax Math. If you liked the video, hit like and subscribe. I appreciate you watching. Thank you. And again, I'll put the link to this printout in the description.